Welcome to TOMGIRL, where we talk all things sports, entertainment, fashion, and adventure. Our guest today is a legend in the LA acting world. She has coached numerous A-list celebrities, as well as helped launch the careers of many aspiring actors. She is the founder of the Creative Center for the Arts and the Los Angeles Acting Conservatory, is a mother, entrepreneur, performer, storyteller, and now also a well-established, successful film director. Just a true creative powerhouse. Please welcome to the show, Michelle Danner.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for taking the time. So nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Well, I've known, anybody out here that is an aspiring actor or wants to get into the business, knows who you are. You've been doing training actors for years. Talk about how I know you came from a family of in show business, and your father was the first started the first William Morris. Kind of talk about your backstory and how that your childhood and led you to be out here and become launch this career that you've had.
So, my mother was a singer and a dancer, and my father opened the very, very first William Morris agency in Paris in France in the 60s. So, when I was a little girl, I was surrounded by art, aside from the fact that it seemed like every Sunday we took guests to Versailles, to the Palais de Versailles, and we went to museums. And at a very young age, I went to theater and attended the Conservatory of Paris. But I also was very close to my dad, and I went with him to the office, to the William Morris, and played under his desk, and was privy to all these big stars that would come and talk about their dreams, their vision boards. And it was very inspiring. I had a really an inspiring childhood, very intellectual, and um, and my parents had a marriage, a close marriage. They loved each other, but they also fought a lot. So there was a lot of tumultuous. I've been writing this, I've been giving an interview for this movie that's coming out that I directed called The Italians. And I always said that when it came to my family, you sat down at the dinner table and you didn't quite know when the spaghetti was going to fly. You knew that at some point there was going to be a major eruption, and you just sat waiting who would say what that would create the storms.
Well, let's dive into that. We're talking about that film now. Obviously, that gave you a lot of. I just screened the film. You gave it to me, and so many fun moments. So yeah, talk more about while we're on that, just about how you act in it as well, and just how this came to be.
I know, I mean, people ask me how easy or difficult is it to act and to direct at the same time. There was one point in the Italians where I had finished the rehearsal with Abigail Breslin, Matthew Daddario, Rob Estes, um, and we were like running the scene before shooting it. And I just had a moment of gratitude and love for them. And I said, if somebody were to choose to do an exercise like that, be in front of the camera and behind the camera, I couldn't have picked a better cast to do it with. And they all smiled. We all got along so well. It was a very joyous adventure to film this movie. It was just, if every movie that I've ever will do in the future would be just so harmonious and fun like this movie was. But what's interesting about it is, and I've watched it several times, we finished the festival circus. Did I say circus? I meant circuit.
Yeah.
But it was a circus too. Um, and and watching it in front of audience, which is what's great for the festival circuit, is you get to test your movie in front of audiences. So it started with the Chinese, the Italian, Los Angeles Italian Film Festival, which is actually a big one. And we were in a big theater, the Chinese, and it was sold out. I mean, people had to like literally stand in the back and sit on the floor. And people started to laugh from the beginning. It was like roaring laughter all throughout. And so you were like, oh, good, that works. It's good test screening. This works. And then we
Yeah.
went on to Cinequest. And I thought maybe in LA it's because I had some friends attending, so it was a friendly audience. But then we went to Cinequest in San Jose and we didn't know anybody there. And there was the same thing happened. And then there was San Luis Obispo Film Festival. I wasn't there because I was shooting a movie in Italy. And apparently one of the cast members went up to San Luis Obispo and texted me, people are laughing. It's fucking hilarious.
Mm.
Fucking on this podcast. And
You
so,
could say it, you could swear.
and um, and so I was like, oh, good. So it works. And then we tested it for Italian audiences throughout the summer. Even was just now recently at the Capri and the Sorrento Film Festival, and people responded. And so the Italians are responding, the Americans are responding. It's my big Greek, fat wedding. Leni Kazan is in it, who's in that movie, and she brings the house down in front of a live audience. People like just roar when they see her. So it was a great experience filming it. It's been a great experience showing it. And now we have a premiere in LA on Thursday, April 10th, and it will be out on Amazon and in different platforms on the 11th. And hopefully people will see the movie and have fun watching it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's just, yeah, very, very entertaining, very relatable, a lot going on. Talk about kind of how this came to be. Like, when did this idea hit you, and how did the development go? Whole
This
process.
wonderful writer, Lisa Phillips Visca,
Mhm.
brought me the play version of it years ago because it takes years to get something to happen. And she was so patient, and it was I wanted to do it. I wanted to do it because at the end of the movie, as you saw, there's a card that comes up, and it says, for my mother, Loredana. My mother was Italian from Italy. I could relate to this. I understood this. um I never particularly wanted to bring any of my boyfriends home to meet my mother, my parents, because I kind of knew it was going to be, it was not going to be fun. But I just thought, and so many different people came up to me throughout the year from different nationalities, Jewish and from Ukraine, and they said, it's we're not Italian, but we can relate. It's a family movie. It's universal. So people really get it. So Lisa brought me the play, and then I thought, this would be a great movie. And then COVID hit. So we were not going to do theater for a little while. So we basically wrote the screenplay of it. And, I mean, nothing is easy, but this somehow fell into place. I knew I wanted to do it, and I asked my close friends to be in it, and then some new friends, and we made it happen. We shot it, and we found this incredible house, not far from where you are, actually, with this kitchen. I really was looking for this kitchen.
Uh-huh.
And the house is a character in the movie. And I had just finished working with Abigail Breslin, where Miranda's Victim was about to come out, and she was wonderful to work with. And Rob Estes and I have known each other for, oh God, so many decades. Years ago, we did The Rose Tattoo by Tennessee Williams at the Hudson Theater. He was on Melrose Place at the time. We ran for almost a year. We had 21 people in a goat on stage, and every night we were sold out. It was a hoot. These limos were parked in front of the theater. We won awards. And since that time, we've remained friends and collaborated on other theater projects and movies. Um, and so it was great to have him be in The Italians. He's a
Yeah.
wonderful, wonderful actor. David DeLuise, the son of Tom DeLuise, is in it as well. He's
Mhm.
truly great. Perry Reeves, who plays Mrs. Ari in Entourage, is in it.
Mhm.
Like I said, Lainey Kazan, Abigail Breslin. This wonderful actress called Olivia Lucardi is in it. I had seen a show called Channel Zero. She was the lead in the third season, and she was so much fun. Her laughter and just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I know I'm forgetting some people that were in it, but Matthew Daddario, one of the
Mhm.
leads, he was great. I thought to myself, whoa, he really is a wonderful actor.
Yeah.
We had such a good time filming together. As a matter of fact, we're talking about doing other projects together.
That's wonderful. What were some of the challenges that you guys faced while you were producing this?
Well,
Um,
not too many challenges. Not too many. It really fell into place in an easy way. I mean, one thing is we shot at the Saint Monica Church. And we were a small independent movie, and we told them that. But because we were able to get great deals on trailers, and we were shooting the church scene, like everybody was on set. So we had to have a trailer for everybody. So a lot of trailers came.
Mhm.
And so the church people, we tested their their charitable contribution. They were like, we thought this was a small movie. And I'm like, no, I don't understand. This is an independent movie. I'm like, look at all these trucks, look at all these trailers. And then I can say this now because nobody's going to watch it from the church. But if I tell you, I don't think I can even go back to that church to pray. The crew broke something, but we put it back together, and we realized that if we didn't shoot all of the church that night, we were never going to be able to come back in that church again. So so Matthew and I sit down to do this scene, and we're like, we only have 2 takes. And he nailed it from the first take. He just nailed it. And the second take as well. I'm like, oh God, thank God, because that's all we've got. And we have to get out of here. We'll never be allowed back to this church again. So that is one of the biggest obstacles that comes up, was that moment in the church. But then, we settled, we did the church, and then we went to the house. We were 11 days in the house, which was great. No, I mean, this whole cast and crew, and I'm signed on to do some bigger movies in the future, this year, next year. And but there's something about the intimacy of doing a smaller movie, I have to say, that is just joyous. I have no other words to express that.
And this is you kind of done, you've done, many now. When did you go from, teaching and all the work that you did with the conservatory into wanting now to be produce these films on your own and having your company?
Well, when I realized that, I had to sign the paintings, because if not, I didn't know how the painting was going to come out, what colors were going to be in it, what textures, what size the canvas was going to be. Like, I had to literally make those decisions, who the cast was going to be. And the only way that you do it is if you get to direct. So the directing is the ultimate true storytelling, where you get to stamp your signature on it. So that's how that came about. And I didn't know what I was doing. It's not like, I have a son who graduated from USC. He studied film and theater, and he's been on sets from when he was in diapers. And he's in it, and he's writing, and he helps me. He works in the production company with me, and we're working on projects together. And he watches 4 movies a day. He went to school for it. I didn't do that. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't do that. I basically
We
learned.
love little dog visitors. Sorry. What kind of dog you got?
Well, I have Australian Shepherds. Actually, I did a movie years ago called The Bandit Hound with the Australian Shepherds, and they're all mine, these shepherds. I
They're great
adopted
dogs.
them all because they were so cute and so smart.
I love it.
No, my son, works with me, and he is the reason why. I mean, he's, been able to, when you work on a script, you do what is called the director's shooting script. You have to come in there and you have to put your signature on it, which is why I wanted to direct in the first place, because I wanted to be able to make those decisions. And I wanted to be able to rewrite the script, and I wanted to be able, I wanted to be able to make it come to life with the choices. I loved, I don't know if you had a chance to watch the Golden Globes this year, and there's a movie, it's 3.5 hour movie. It's very long, but quite incredible, called The Brutalist, which I'm sure that Adrian Brody and possibly the director are going to win the Oscar for it. And the director basically said, talked about like a director's cut, like a director's vision, a director being able to make the decisions and the final decisions. And of course, I could relate to all of that. And that's the very reason why I wanted to direct. So it was also a natural stepping stone from teaching classes, because all of it is really ultimately tied into storytelling. And the next step was to be able to tell stories to the biggest classroom. And you mentioned that you took my class like 20 years ago. And so that was a beautiful theater that I taught in back then. And now when you make a movie, you're playing to, the biggest classroom you can play to.
Hmm. Hmm. How did you talk about how your son, you said, he's going to school for it, he watches 4 films a day, and you don't do that. How do you have the confidence and the faith in yourself, when maybe there might be that part of you that's like, oh, can I do this? I haven't gone to school for that, or where do you find that gumption to just
Well,
do it?
everybody that knows me, that's around me, will tell you that I'm very insecure, and I embrace my insecurities. One of my very favorite movies is Terms of Endearment. And I love the moment when Shirley MacLaine talks about, Jeff Daniels knowing one of his greatest qualities is that he knows his limitations, and not to lose it at that point. So I know that I know nothing. I'm super clear about that. I don't know anything. I'm about to direct this year a sci-fi thriller called Helios about the
Oh.
solar storms destroying the Earth. And we're going to go shoot at NASA, and it's a sci-fi. And, I mean, of course, I'm preparing and I'm reading and I'm watching, but I also know that I know nothing. So I don't have a problem with that. It's a good place to start from.
I love it. I love it. But you definitely, I mean, when you say you're full of passion, I mean, there's so much that you do and you just have this joy and energy about you.
Thank you. Yeah, you wake up every day. It's a new adventure. You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Talk a little bit about, I watched your previous film before this too, Miranda's Victim, how it was working on that and what it based on a true story and what a great, what interesting story.
I mean, that was incredible.
Yeah.
When it was offered to me, and it was about the how the Miranda rights came about. And I did a movie before that called The Runner. The first scene in the movie, somebody was being read their Miranda rights. You have the right to remain
Mm.
silent. You have the right to, an attorney. And I never questioned, well, where did that came from? How did that come about? And so when they offered me this movie, I realized there had been a gap in our history because nobody, neither through a documentary or a miniseries or anything, had told that story. And I was really excited. And one of the first actors that we reached out to was Donald Sutherland. This actually ended up being Donald Sutherland's last movie. But this is the thing, Donald Sutherland had always been my mother's favorite actor, one of my favorite actors,
Mhm.
and always reminded me of my dad that's passed away. So when I was location scouting in New Jersey for this movie, and we were all sitting there with the team, and I got a call saying Donald Sutherland wants to do it.
Mm.
I thought immediately that this was a sign, that my dad was watching over us, and that this movie, it's hard, even if you find a true story that has never been done, it's hard to get a movie made. There's no question about it. It's very difficult. I mean, when you're a very established director, you can do one movie after the next. But other than that, it doesn't matter. You're always, how successful the last movie was. Well, thankfully, Miranda's Victim was successful. People really responded to it. We got great reviews, including Leonard Maltin, who I've known. I have his books here behind me, like the original books that Leonard Maltin published. And he teaches at USC, which is where my son, actually took his class. And so this experience of shooting Miranda's Victim, it was a much bigger movie than the Italians. We shot it on film. I was lucky enough. I thought to myself, if I'm going to push to shoot anything on film, it's going to be that. Because the period piece, we get these great cars, these great locations. We shot in an original courtroom of the 60s and a police station. And actually, after we finished shooting, those buildings were gotten torn down. So we were the last people to shoot there, and nobody else had shot there. But it was like authentic, these authentic, courthouses. It was really something. It was an experience of all experiences. And we premiered at the Santa Barbara International Film Festival. We were the opening night movie at the Arlington Theater. And then it so happens that as we did the festival circuit with that movie, we were asked to be in a lot of theaters across the country that were historical movie theaters.
Mhm.
So we played in Gasparilla Film Festival. There was Tampa Theater. I don't know if I can't remember if that was the name of it. The California Theater, Historical Theater in San Jose. The Avalon Theater in Catalina Islands. So all these were historical theaters, and it was great. I really had a great experience shooting that movie.
Mhm. You talked about, you said, unless you have sometimes an established the name or the history of it, that it's hard to get a movie made and done. So how have you made, I mean, obviously you know these names and stuff now, and but when you were getting started and getting going, how did you just get your movies made?
Um, the first word that comes to mind is you talk to people about what you're about to do with passion. And I think passion is contagious and people want to get on the train. I always say that to make a movie, the hardest thing actually is to get the train to move. And then once the train moves, everybody wants to get on it. But to get it to move, it's the hardest thing.
Yeah. Yeah. What are some things that maybe you've learned along the way too that are have been key in helping you uh, get better and better and do more and more with this? Like, are there things that you wish, like, oh, I wish I knew that when I was doing my first movie, or that would have been helpful to know?
Well, it's the preparation, I think, is the key. That you have to know how to prepare because there's so many things that are thrown at you, and there's so many answers that you have to give quickly. Because when you're on set, doesn't matter what budget you're in, you have to make your day, and people come at you from all different places, and so you have to walk in with a very strong vision, and you have to be able to answer quickly. You can't sit there and go, well, let me think about it. You can't think about it. You have to go, okay, this is going to be it. This is the color. Ultimately, I think you just have to find a way to really know, have even the editing in your head. So you don't waste time shooting things that ultimately you're just never going to use. It's
Mhm.
got to unfold. The movie's got to play someone in your head. And it brings us back to vision. You have to have a strong vision.
Can you talk a little bit about how you said you've been to a lot of different festivals with your films? What's that like, getting your films in the festival circuit and submitting and the costs involved?
It's great. It's the cost, I mean, is the cost. You have to factor that in when you work on a budget for a movie. But I think Film Freeway offers you, if you're like a gold status, it costs less to enter your movies. I think you have to be selective. You have to do your homework. You have to figure out which film festivals you want to go to. You can't go to every film festival. And it's very vulnerable to go to a film festival because you're putting your work in front of people and you don't know how it's going to be received. But you also learn from it. I love film festivals. I think they're wonderful. It's a wonderful forum for filmmakers to come together and talk about their work.
Mhm.
And to watch in front of audience, I mean, there was a time for a couple of years there where we didn't know that we're ever going to sit there in a room full of people without masks,
Mhm.
watching, theater or watching movies. And this time has come, we're all sitting there and hardly anybody has a mask anymore, which is great. And we're able to do that. But I love film festivals. I really, really do. I mean, Miranda's Victim played at the Arlington Film Festival. It was like 2,000 people were there. We
Mhm.
had a great party afterwards, a Q&A the day after. It was uh, it was a big night. Yeah.
Mhm. How do you find your space to be creative and balance all the different things you're doing now? Because you're wearing so many different creative hats, but you still teach and do everything you were doing before. Where do you find the
I'm
space and the
teaching tonight.
energy?
Yeah, I do lists. I try to stay focused. I watch a lot of content, which is great. I read a lot, although I want to find more time to read. Um, I try and find the balance. I try and really work out and do things to take care of myself, to stay healthy, so I can stay on the horse the longest,
Yeah.
and I can watch my children's, accomplishments. So you can't do it all. I mean, I think it's back to that, the limitations, accepting your limitations, knowing that you cannot do it all. But whatever it is that you can do, just commit to that.
Mhm.
Commit to what you can do. And let go of perfectionism. Who gives a shit? I mean, just do it. I mean, obviously, it's not like you want to do like a lot and then lose the quality of what you're doing because you want it to come out the best that it can be. So
Yeah.
you don't spread yourself so thin that you lose track of excellence, of
Mhm.
wanting to keep raising the bar.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that. Okay, if I can jump to the acting coach in you, that side for one moment. I love your philosophy, what you teach at your school, and it's called the golden box. Can you talk a little bit about the golden box and what separates you from other acting schools?
Yes, because when you go, I'm just do this technique, or I'm a method actor, or I just follow this, or I don't. I've never studied at all, and I don't care about studying. I just go with my instincts, which I think is not the best thing to say. Because I believe in studying. I believe that gives you the box that you're looking for. Because not only in this golden box do you put what you've learned, different philosophies of acting, which actors today should study all the different philosophies. And then everything that you learn when you book a job, when you're on set, when you're on stage. And then life lessons go also into that toolbox, into that golden box. And it's a unique box. Only you have the key to that box.
Mm.
It's what you're able to use, what the tools, the insights that help you to create a character, to break down, to script analyze. So I think that I'm a great proponent in studying because I can see it, So I didn't do what my son is doing. He is studying and he watches things over and over and over again, which is the key to going deeper in your craft. So I didn't do that. That was my defense mechanism to not want to go deep in my craft. And I've learned throughout the years how not helpful that was.
Mm.
And that it's really important to be able to watch things over and over again and learn from them. But I love working with actors. I don't believe that there's a cookie cutter acting technique for everybody, that everybody should come to the middle and be the same. I think that's anti-art. You have to focus on the individual, on the artist, and understand and nurture what their uniqueness is as an artist.
Mhm.
And that's what the philosophy of our school is. Matter of fact, so we lost these theaters because of COVID, but we gained this beautiful space close to Sony Studios in Culver City on Washington Boulevard. And I had a mural artist paint. If you're driving from west to east, you can't spell heart without art. And on the other side, you can't make art without heart. And they're lit at night, and they capture, I think, the philosophy of our school and what we believe about the craft of acting.
For those who may want to come take some classes, can you talk about some of the programs and classes you offer?
Yes, absolutely. So we have a lot of different classes. There's a great faculty, including me. So I teach this master class on script analysis, the golden box, and I teach breaking into the industry. Some of our classes are on Zoom, mostly are in person now, of course. And they range from scene study to improvisation to working on camera to stage combat to script analysis. Then we have classes focused on Meisner, on Stella Adler, on Stanislavski, so people really understand these techniques and what they represent, what they mean. We have people coming from all over the world. They take programs with us. They're usually very happy. I meet with them every so often. I sit with them and talk about, their classes and what they're getting out of their classes and their teachers. And those afternoons when I do that, it makes me feel really good because I know that we're creating something very, very special in our school. And not only a community of actors, I make movies with people, actors, artists that I've met 20 years ago in acting class. Brian Drillinger, Rob Estes, a lot of the actors that I've met, I work with, Christine Dunford, and wonderful actors. And so I think that you meet, your peers in acting classes and you
Yeah.
connect with them and you stay in touch and you create with them. I mean, this is what I see my son is doing at USC. He gets in together with his friends all the time and they're creating, they're working on web series, they're composing together, they're doing all kinds of creative things together. And
Hmm.
that's the reason why also, in addition to learning, you should take an acting class. It's community, supporting
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah, definitely building those relationships that you have forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I was going to ask, so play a little game, and you kind of said it, you mentioned it, the keys to something, because you have the golden box. I was just going to ask you maybe some of the golden keys, since you've done so many different, areas of this industry. Maybe like we could break down a couple of them and just say some of the keys you think are to success in those areas. Like we could break down acting, directing, producing. So what do you think for like actors, like the golden key, some of the golden keys are?
You can't learn acting by watching a YouTube video or by reading an acting book. It's actually experiential. You have to do it. You have to put it through your body. And not only that, but I think that the value in getting yourself into a group where you have a workout and you work on scenes and you work on great writers, that's going to elevate you. That's going to make you raise the bar. The better writing you put through your instrument, the better of an actor you're going to be. And then when you hit key moments in your discoveries, that stays with you. That's an excitement about your potential as an actor that you bring into the next audition and the next audition. And that helps you build a career, get jobs.
All right, how about directing?
Well, the directing, I think it's really, once you commit to telling a story, you have to be really, really passionate about that story. You have to be passionate about the storytelling, and so that you can inspire everybody around you to tell the best story that you can tell.
Mhm. And then how about producing?
Producing is the same thing. My dad was a producer, and he said a producer is an artist, except producers, you think more of a producer as the business person and not the artist. But there is artistry in producing. There's no question about it. And if you can also inspire all the creatives that are around you to bring their best, their A game to the table, that's when I think you have a great product.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for sharing those golden keys for everybody listening. All right, let's get back to your film. Tell everybody again, like where, when it comes out, how they can watch it, and how they can track all your progress with it.
So The Italians is a new movie that's coming out on April 11th. It's going to be on Amazon and it's going to be on, I don't know where the other platforms, Apple TV. And I'm excited. I want everybody to see it and, of course, tell us what they think. They can watch Miranda's Victim, that's out. And yeah, and I'll keep everybody posted in social media about the next projects that are going to get greenlit.
Right. And what are all your social media handles where they can follow you at?
Now, that's the only question in this podcast that I'm not going to be able to answer.
Okay, we can look it up.
Michelle Danner, LA, Actors International, michelledanner.com.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much. I just am in, in awe you of everything that you're doing, from your coaching back when I knew above you 20 years ago to now seeing how you just keep evolving and keep doing new things, and your films are amazing and they're so beautifully done and put together that I just
Thank you
love it.
for watching them. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. I really
Thank
appreciate it.
you.
Everybody get out there and watch your films.
Thank
All
you.
right, that's it for Tom Grill. You can follow us everywhere on social media. And we're back now. It's been a little pause but now we're starting our new year a little late. We're going to get going with updated shows. We look forward to bringing you lots of fun things over the year. All right, get outside. Bye.
TOMGIRL.